Hello guys, I am back with another episode. There is a message that I want to share with you guys, and this message, it reads like this. Hello, how are you, my brother? I am currently staying in Johannesburg, and you can say that I am a slay queen. I had a baby at the age of 16. Let me say I was raised by a single mom who was not very strict. I don't like what I did, and sometimes I feel so much dirty, and I wish that there was a way out of this, but unfortunately I don't have any other life that I know. To make matters worse, I am currently unemployed. I have submitted my CVs to several companies, but it seems as if no one is willing to employ me. Everywhere I go, they just say that I need a little bit of experience, and this thing that I am facing, it is not only me. A lot of young people here in South Africa, they are facing those same challenges, that when you go around submitting your CVs, then they will tell you that they need 5 or more work experience. But coming out of the university, where are you going to get that kind of work experience? And most of these companies, if you are a darkie, they will never even want to hire you, let alone just to give you some attachments. So how on earth will you ever be able to get a little bit of work experience? My mom had multiple men, and by the time that I had my child, she was also pregnant with my younger brother. Even though I fell pregnant at the age of 16, but I was really intelligent at school. I was able to successfully write my matric and passed my matric. Then I went to university. I can safely say it is true. Children indeed copy what they see around them, because when I was in university, I had surrounded myself with other students that came from successful families, but I don't know where I lost it. I just went back into default mode. Then I started to act as if I was my mother. To me, it was something that I admired, to have a man. And the first time that I spent a night with a man was when I was still in grade 8. And my heart kept on skipping, even though the guy that I was with was really scared, because it was his first time. We ended up doing nothing. We were just kids, but let me say, I was born a naughty girl. At this time, I was only about 13. 3 years later, I started partying, and no one could even stop me, because my mom was also busy with her boyfriends. That is how it all started. Even in the area where I was staying, there were people that tried to give me a little bit of advice, but they nicknamed me the razor blade because of my sharp tongue. If any elderly person tried to cancel me, then they will know that I was going to give them some harsh words. Hence they called me the razor blade because of my sharp tongue. I am currently unemployed, but if you see me, you'll never know, because I look so fresh. I am always on point, nails on fleek, hairstyle always on point, but this is all sponsored by different men. Now, let me tell you about my experiences. I met this other guy. When we met, we were on Instagram, and there on Instagram, there are always men who are looking for younger women. And I was interested. Why not? Because you will never know what you get. And when it was month end, even my mom would ask me if I have any money so that we can buy the food. This is what my mom is like. If she doesn't have money, she will force you to go out there and get some money. There are many times that my mom growing up could get some food, then she will lock the food in her bedroom. Then if you ask her and if you tell her that you wanted to cook something, then she will say that, go out there, girl, and hustle for your food. So this is the kind of an environment that I grew up in. From a very young age, I had to learn how to make money, and I knew that if I was dry, I had to go out there and work so that I can get some bills. So being a slay queen is nothing but being a glorified prostitute, like that lady who was saying that she went to Dubai. I met the man and he gave me his address, requested that I go and sleep over, and I agreed. He stayed somewhere in 4 ways. and the guy was from Eastern Africa. We went to his house. It was a very beautiful house, and he was driving a Ford Ranger. I still remember that it was a 2020 edition. We got to the house, and it had an electric fence, big holes. The house was in an area where there was a boom gate, very well secured, and I walked to the house. He treated me very well, smiled at me, looked at me, and kept on admiring me. By the way, I am a very light-skinned girl, well built, no pimples or dark marks, and the guy kept on complimenting on my skin. We chilled, and it was only the two of us in that big house, and there was no sign of any woman. It was clear that this man was single, but maybe he could be having a roommate. But this house, it was just plain, just couches, and it showed that there was no touch of a woman. At this point, I got so much comfortable that we started drinking and chatting. All was going on very well. We had agreed on the amount that he was going to pay me for the whole weekend. I knew that the month with the money that he had promised me, I was going to be covered. My daughter wanted transport money, and we didn't have groceries in the house. I needed rent money. I knew that I had to pull up my socks because my daughter wanted transport money. And back home, I knew that we didn't have any groceries in the house. I needed rent money because at that time, I was no longer staying with my mom. I was looking for money. Like in this instance, my daughter stayed alone, and whenever I would go out, then I would just leave here alone, and she is only in grade 7. We chilled, and he ordered some food, and it was delivered. We ate all, and everything was going on very well. We went to sleep, all was okay. We slept, and now somewhere in the middle of the night, he then left the room and he went to the kitchen. Then I heard him speak to his roommate who was at the back. As usual, most of the people from Eastern Africa, they speak much louder than we South African, and I could hear them. Then the guy, my boyfriend, asked if the other one had brought the stuff. The other one said yes, the stuff is in the fridge. Then they spoke in their language, but I kept on hearing them because here and there they were inserting some sentences of English, so I could understand them. Then I slept, and in the morning when we wake up, he told me that he was going to meet with a client and he will be back very soon. I also got to greet his housemate, and they seemed to be talking to very important people, and that person on the other line was like putting some orders. Then he responded and he said, I will get in touch with you very soon, don't worry. He then left and he said, baby, be comfortable. I would order food for you. If you need anything, please do not be afraid. Just call me. He left, but he rushed back indoors as if he had forgotten something very important. And he said to me, babe, if you want anything, please use the gray fridge, and if you need anything, please don't open the other fridge. He looked at me directly into my eyes, and I said, cool, not a problem. I was not going to cook anyway, so I didn't think that I was going to need anything from those fridges. He smiled and he gave me a hug, then he left. Guys, I had met this guy the previous night, but we had clicked. There was too much chemistry, and I had really enjoyed him. He really had that very, very big manhood. It was like we had known each other for more than 10 years. I stayed behind watching Netflix and chill. All was going well, and he kept on calling to check on me. I felt like this man had truly loved me. I ate the food from Uber Eats that he had ordered, and I never thought of opening that fridge. He came back and he was so happy to find me on that night, and we went to a bar in Senton. We partied all the way, and the guy's friend kept on commenting, and that guy's roommate kept on commenting that finally you have gotten to come home with a girl that looked this beautiful. It looked like this was his first time hanging out with a girl in public. We spent half of the night at the bar, then we headed back at his place. We were all happy and smiling and drunk. Then we slept. My ticket was moving. I knew that the more that I was enjoying love with this man, it means that he was going to give me a lot of money. Then when it was almost Sunday, I had to go back home the following morning. He woke up at around 6 a.m. and he left me, and he told told me that there was an emergency trip. He wanted to go to Mpumalanga. He had a client that he wanted to meet there. He then said, I feel you, baby girl. You are a good girl. I trust you. You can sleep till 8 to 9. Then if you want to go home, let me know. I will then do an Uber for you. When he was leaving, he said, is it okay if you can stay and wait for me so that we can spend another night together? I responded, I said, no, it is impossible because I have to go and prepare for my girls. She'll be going to school the following Monday. They both left and told me to leave the key by the security. I stayed behind, slept until it was somewhere around 8 a.m., took some pictures for my Instagrams. Then I called him so that he can request an Uber for me. He also put some deposit for my services. Then I told him that I was leaving. He said, okay, call upon my arrival. I dropped the call and I went into the house and I started to pack my bags. At this moment, I was all excited and happy because I had found a very big client, because this man, he was a kind, loving gentleman. Now, as I was about to leave, I wanted to grab a juice. As I was about to open the fridge, something deep inside of me said, you can do a little bit of shopping. So I took one or two items that seemed to be so expensive in that fridge. I wanted to give my kid back home some of these items. After I had collected those expensive food items, I just said to myself, let me also open that fridge that he said I must not open. Maybe I can get more items for my house. Prostitutes are just thieves, basically. As I opened this huge deep freezer, my heart skipped a beat. For the first time, I had seen things that I never thought that I would see in my life. In this fridge, my brother, there were animals. Some of these animals, I didn't even know what kind of animals I had seen in that fridge, but the kind of animals that I recognized was a head of a hyena. Then there was a snake. This snake, my brother, it was not even cut. The snake was just placed in that deep fridge. I felt cold the entire body. My legs felt weak and I fell on the floor. My life was in slow motion as I felt to stand up. All the things that I was holding in my hands fell down. I felt fear crippling in and I felt so much cold that I wanted to run away. I tried to lift my body up and I felt. That moment was when my phone rang and it was him. I failed to answer the call and it went to voicemail. Did he had seen everything that I had seen in his fridge? He called again. Then I found the strength and I answered the phone. But my voice was trembling all the while. He asked me what I was doing in the house as the Uber had been already waiting for me outside for about 2 minutes. I pretended to be okay. And I said, oh, I am really sorry. I was in the bathroom, but let me rush. I picked myself up, closed the fridge, and make sure that there was no trace that I had opened the fridge. And I rushed to the Uber. I gave the security the keys and I left. All the way home, I kept on wondering what I had seen. What if I had become a victim too? What kind of a man keeps frozen snakes in his fridge? Where did he get all of those unrecognizable animals that I had seen in his deep fridge? I was in shock and I went home. That night I could not even sleep. For the first time in my life, I wish that I really have a job. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was forwarded to me by one of our admins. Yeah, our dear sister is saying that she saw a head of a hyena in a fridge. Strange things do happen in this world.